Again, I'm telling you, I can't say this enough. The scammers are out. They're out right now, and probably more aggressive right now than ever before because of what's going on with our government. So be on the lookout, be aware, be alert. They out here. All right. So we're going to get into some stuff. You know how this goes. Question everything. You should. And remember, this is for entertainment purposes only. Let's get to it.
I'm so sick of scammers in this country. So sick of them, man. Like, I don't get a lot in food stamps to help, like, with groceries and stuff, but what I do get helps. And I went to go use my card the other day, last night, actually, and there was $3 left on it. And I'm like, what the heck? Like, that's not possible. That should not be possible, even a little bit. So I checked my card, and after I went to Walmart on Sunday, and I spent, like, $76 at, like, 6:07 p.m., at 6:17 p.m., someone tried to run my card for $300. Well, there wasn't $300 on it. And then at 6:20 p.m., they ran it for like $250. Well, that ended up going through. So I ended up going to the DHS office, and they said there's a lot of skimming going on right now. That they've seen people's cards get completely wiped out of like $900 of like all their food stamps and stuff, which that's crazy to me. Like that's insane. People suck. That's all I have to say is people suck. I'm so sick of—
That's gonna make me go postal right there. $900. You know what? Come on, man. That's gonna make me go postal, bro. Like, and we gotta figure out a way to identify these like card reading machines. Have you seen that they're using to scan and get your card information through these card readers that they some kind of way put on like the card reader machine that's already there? It's crazy. They getting good, so we gotta be better.
So I can't make this up, guys. So it gets crazier and crazier by the day. But anyway, it was reported in the Onion newspaper on February 5th that Elon Musk had offered himself $10 billion in the federal buyout. Make that make sense to me. So Elon, get this, y'all. He was quoted as saying that he may be just more dead weight and that he may be hampering the executive branch's ability to function efficiently. I think we've all been saying that. It was also confirmed Monday that Elon Musk had offered himself, again, $10 billion to resign from his position as the head of DOGE, the President Trump's Department of Government Efficiency. He was quoted as saying, like many other federal employees, he too was offered or presented with a buyout option as part of his own effort to create a more streamlined and flexible government workplace. Doesn't make sense to me if you ask me. But anyway, he was also quoted as saying that he would give himself until February the 6th to decide whether he would accept the terms of a dignified and fair departure. Weirder and weirder. So Elon was quoted as also saying that on one hand, that his job had been really, really good to him, y'all. But on the other hand, he thinks that it might be a good idea or it might make sense for him to quit now and avoid the risk of being downsized by none other than himself later on. But by press time, Musk had reportedly upped his buyout offer to $20 billion instead of the initial $10 billion. But he had to, convince himself that the number was anywhere close to what he could rake in with the unprecedented control of the federal bureaucracy. Now, tell me what y'all think.
I think the fact that this said it came from Onion news source, I don't think this is true. I don't think this is real because do you know how much people dislike or hate Elon? Like, you know how much he's receiving right now. You know how people feel about him. If this was the case, bro, they would be like outside his front door. Like, you think you've seen a protest. Let this be true, which I don't think it is because of the news source. But, yeah, I don't think this is true.
The food that they are recalling is very used by people in my community. Like, they recall great value chicken broth in 9 states, southern states concerning. They recall pearl milling pancake mix. Most of you guys know it as Aunt Jemima, and I find it very odd that it would be this brand because that is a brand frequently used like by people, in my community as well. It's a 2-pound box, by the way. The pancake mix, I found the states for that. I'm glad it's not here because we're already dealing with that chicken broth crisis. Now, the Gerber thing, it really bothers me because I don't see like big announcements. And this looks like almost every single state that has these strawberry, apple, banana, cheese and chew. They look like this. My kids chewed on those. Like, there's all these things that are being recalled, and no one is like talking about it out loud. And if they are, it's not hitting the FYP. Hopefully, I'm making people aware of the food that they are
Definitely. I was up on the chicken broth, for sure. The pancakes mix, not so much. You know what I mean? But we've been on a pancake strike in this house because, like, my lady, bro, when she want pancakes, she want them for like 5 days straight, and we be getting tired of them. But I'm definitely gonna look into the pancake mix now to see if y'all know of some healthier, better for you type brands. List them, man, so we can start working together to figure out what brands are the best one. I ain't had kids in so long, so the Gerber snacks I ain't really been up on like that. No need, ain't trying no more. But yeah, man, we need to start getting together and figuring out what are the actual good brands that don't have all these additive ingredients and different things that is destroying our health.
There's no shape to it, really. It's kind of disappearing now. And it's gone. What? There's no shape to it, really.
This is in broad daylight. This is crazy. Nah, maybe I'm crazy. It might be. That might be very well true. It could be me, but the fact that this is going on still, broad daylight, and that didn't seem like a drone, but it could be. I don't know. But it's some nuanced drone that we ain't seen before, so.
Let's bring in Carolyn Levitt, the White House press secretary, to dig more into this and other issues. Carolyn, it's great to see you. It's good to have our own private briefing today.
It's great to see you, too. Thanks for having me, guys.
So the Democrats are really screaming from the rooftops about Doge, all centered around Elon Musk and USAID. Here's just a little bit of what they've been doing in the past few days.
First and foremost, Elon Musk.
This is a dictatorship in the making. We're not going to have apartheid in America anymore.
So here's the interesting thing. A Reuters Ipsos poll that was done right after the USAID news broke found that 56% of people would like to see all foreign assistance programs suspended, which is leading a lot of people to say that the Democrats have picked a very weird.
Now, you have to be cautious about these polls, but let's say and entertain that this poll is actually true. There's no way for us to know, so we can only speculate at this point. Let's say this is true. That's saying a lot of people feel like we're sending way too much money out of our country than taking care of our own. How do you feel about that? I'd probably feel the same way in the yes category. Especially when you see homelessness the way it is. You hear people needing assistance that don't get it. The VA, the assistance that they need. Like our veterans, bro, I always resort back to that because of what they've done for us. So I'm always going to try to lobby for them to get better assistance and better help and getting taken care of. So if I have to choose between them and foreign assistance, I'm going to choose them.
Hill to die on.
That's because there's no other hill to die on, because President Trump continues to deliver on the promises that he made to the American people on the campaign trail, and going through the federal government line by line and making this government more efficient is one of those priorities and one of those promises that President Trump made. And as you just cited, John, 56% of Americans support freezing foreign aid. And I read a fascinating article in the Washington Post today, they interviewed voters in Pennsylvania, and all of them said that they support President Trump and Elon Musk's efforts to make this government more efficient. What President Trump and Elon Musk and this entire administration is trying to do is make our bloated bureaucracy here in Washington run like a profitable business. And every agency has been tasked with going line by line and ensuring that the American taxpayers' money is aligned with the American people's interests. It's a common sense solution to fixing a decades-old problem of bloated bureaucracy, waste, fraud, and abuse. And the vast majority of Americans support it. So the Democrats can hoot and holler all they want. This White House will stay committed to delivering on President Trump's priorities and being good stewards of the hardworking American people's tax dollars.
All right, Caroline, again, great to have you on the program. Sandra here. So as far as President Trump's federal buyout offer, we know that expires at midnight tonight. The latest we've heard is that 40,000 staff have agreed to leave. Before I get to my question, is that still about the number right now, 40,000?
Yes. Last I checked with the Office of Personnel Management, it was more than 40,000 and counting. And I would add that we encourage federal workers who don't feel like showing up to the office to accept this buyout program. It's a very generous offer from President Trump and this administration.
I wonder if that's about the number where the president thought he would be right now, or perhaps that might be bigger. Reportedly, and we'll ask you to confirm if this is the case, President Trump is planning mass layoffs if there are not more who agree to those buyouts. Is that the case?
I haven't heard the president discuss that directly, so I can't confirm that. But like I said, we do know that more than 40,000 and counting federal workers have agreed to this buyout program, and they are looking forward, I guess, to having their 8-month paid vacation. The president made a commitment that he was going to encourage the federal workforce to return to the office. We know only 6% of
8-month vacation, but when that vacation is over, will you have a job to come back to? Is the question. Like, I hope people aren't taking that buyout thinking, okay, this is going to be an 8-month vacation. I just take some time off, and when I come back, my job is going to be ready and waiting for me. I wouldn't. I'm a gambling man, and I wouldn't place that bet. Wouldn't do it.
Federal workers are working in the office right now. That's unacceptable, and that's why the buyout program was offered.
I want to ask about the president's announcement on Gaza the other day, which seemed to take staff members by surprise. It's something that he had talked about, but they didn't know he was going to make an announcement. A few people I've talked to who worked there at the White House, when they heard that, they said, wait, what? I mean, it's an idea. Some people think that he's laying down the gauntlet to our allies to say, well, if you don't like this idea, have you got a better idea? But the question I have is, he went through the campaign saying that he wanted to get the United States out of its involvement in foreign entanglements. This would seem to be exactly the opposite of that.
I don't think so, John. The president has made it clear that he will not be sending boots on the ground at Gaza. He is not committed to that. He also has made it clear that American taxpayers will not be funding this effort. The president is trying to strike a deal to ensure that Gaza can actually be a habitable place for human beings who want to live in peace with real economic development. And President Trump is an outside-of-the-box thinker. That's, again, why the American people elected him, because he has a different perspective to the foreign policy challenges that have been plaguing our world for many, many years. And so this is a great idea, and our partners in the region have begun to discuss it with this administration. We have the King of Bahrain coming to the White House next week, and the president has spoken to many of our partners and allies in the Middle East about this opportunity in Gaza.
Okay, in lines of all the spending cuts, there's a lot of concern, and Democrats are penning letters to the president trying to get clarity on where he stands with the Department of Education. Is he planning to completely dismantle this? What right now is his thinking on that?
Sure. Well, first, let me say the president is wholeheartedly committed to spending cuts and, of course, making the government more efficient. That's part of what DOGE is already hitting the ground running to do. When it comes to the Department of Education, the president and his policy team continue to look at options and how to reduce the size of the Department of Education, if not abolish it completely. You heard the president say, half jokingly but also serious, he wants Linda McMahon, who will lead that agency, presidency to put herself out of a job because he wants to return the power over our education system back to the states. In fact, I actually have a statistic in front of me. 70% of 8th graders are at a below proficient level in math and reading. 70%. And that's despite spending hundreds of billions of dollars on education every single year. The current system located in Washington, D.C. is not working, and the president is committed to ensuring that states and parents have a greater say in our children's education system.
Now, y'all can't just run out here and say, oh, that's not true, because I've shown it on this channel. Teachers actually saying that. The ones who are in the trenches with our kids are actually saying that. Now, I don't know if this is the solution of handing it over to the states, because I be feeling like sometimes the state just gonna come in and say, okay, this is how you take the test to pass the test. Like, I hope they have a legitimate plan and ways to get kids up to par on being able to read and write at their grade level and do math and everything else at that grade level with better curriculum as well. But that's a different conversation.
Yeah, I mean, the state of education in America, for the most part, is scandalous. There's no doubt about that. I wanted to ask you about the executive order that the president signed yesterday in what was a brilliant moment of stagecraft at the White House, surrounded by all those young female athletes, as the president codified in an executive order the fact that transgender athletes have to stay out of women's sports. But in order to really codify that's going to take an act of Congress. Is the president moving down that direction?
Well, we expect Congress to act on this, and if Congress puts a bill on this topic before President Trump's desk that makes sense and is good law, then the president is committed to signing legislation that supports the executive action he has already taken. And I will just say it was a glorious moment at the White House yesterday afternoon to see these female athletes who have worked so hard and have spoken up so courageously about the injustices that they have faced on the sports field. And as a former college softball player myself, it was incredibly special to see the president make the dreams of millions of female athletes across the country true. And we had a big win following President Trump's executive order. Within hours, the NCAA announced that they will be following with the president's federal policy. And by the way, we expect the Olympic Committee to do the same. 2028, the Olympics will be returning to the United States of America, and how wonderful it will be for women across the world to see the U.S. lead on this incredibly important and common sense issue.
Caroline, I want to finish by asking you about the number of deportations we've seen so far. Perhaps this is the most public action for the American people that they've seen under this new presidency. Is the president happy, content with the number of deportations we've seen so far? There's reports that those numbers have not reached the heights he was hoping.
No, the president is very pleased with the efforts by his team, Tom Homan, Stephen Miller, Secretary Kristi Noem, who has been traversing the country, talking with Border Patrol agents and ICE agents who are been tasked with this very important responsibility, the largest mass deportation operation in history. But as I've said before, we will not get complacent, and the president has made this very bold promise to the American people, and he expects everybody across DHS and here at the White House to continue to work hard every day to deport illegal criminals from American communities. And yesterday, I know that Mr. Homan was in Colorado. They deported more than 100 Tren de Aragua members. That's a huge win for the American people, for law-abiding citizens of this country who have been put last because of the previous administration's immigration policies and are being put first again because of the Trump administration's immigration policies.
Carolyn, thank you for coming on and spending time with us today. And it almost feels like I'm back in the front row in the briefing room.
You should come join us, John, anytime.
Well, I appreciated our times that we spent together chatting in the lower press office some years ago.
All right, Caroline, thank you so much. Come back soon.
Thanks, guys.
This is your daily reminder to take a screenshot of your Ubers whenever you're ordering a ride. I ordered a ride yesterday for $24. Why do I get home? I'm on FaceTime with my boyfriend. I get my receipt summary and it says $46.97. I did not pay for a ride that was $46.97. sense. That's not what showed up on my ride screen when I requested my ride. That's not what I paid for originally, and so that's not what I was going to pay for in the end. I went to the help button. I clicked two things. I clicked my ride price was wrong, and then the second button is explaining what the issue was, and I said that the route that the driver took or something like that was too long, and they gave me my money back immediately. So clearly Uber is just out here and banking on the fact that you as an individual won't be observant enough to go back and make sure that what you requested and what you paid are the same thing. So this is me telling you that whenever you order an Uber, you should always check the receipt that they send you afterwards, because that's actually ridiculous. That's actually like misrepresentation, false information. Like, I don't know what the legal terminology for that is, but you guys are lying, and it's giving class action lawsuit. And this is not to say that I don't think drivers should get compensation for the work that they're doing. They definitely should, but there's a way to go about it. And if you want to charge me $46 for a ride, that's fine, but you need to be upfront and charge me when I'm looking at the screen and selecting the ride that I want, because I would not have paid for the ride if it was going to be $46. This is your daily reminder to take a screenshot.
What it's sounding to me lately is we need a bunch of separate accounts. That way they don't have access to your main funds. So maybe for Uber, having an account to where you have just a little bit of funds over there. That way, just in case they try to get a little froggy and jump in your account and take something, and now you got to go through this with the bank and Uber, go back and forth, you know they're not snatching none of your main funds. It sounds like we need to do that for a lot of other things too. When we're paying for groceries, gas, any other place that we can get scammed, you need to have like separate accounts. And that sucks to have to be able to do that, but we got to start trying to figure out ways to outsmart them in the climate that we're in. And we're for sure in a scamming climate.
I have astonishing news from the past. The world ended 36 years ago next month. This is a lesson about revision and how when an author learns that there are errors in their previous work, they revise the book to make it fit the context that they now understand. That's how we go from 88 Reasons Why the Rapture Could Be in 1988 to 88 Reasons Why the Rapture Will Be in 1988. The author learned that the rapture and the end of the world was in fact happening in September 1988. They even tell us in the introduction how accurate their text is. Please consider before beginning to read this book that there are 8 criteria this book must meet without exception, without any error of any kind. Now I will note that both the could and the will editions share that exact same information. But the number 88 reasons has not changed, so there are exactly 88 reasons in both of these completely flawless books. I want everyone to be very, very, very careful next month, 36 years ago, because the world was going to end. I have astonishing news from the past.
I'm still confused about how he opened it up saying 36 years ago next month. Like, the world ended. But I've been hearing a lot of people talking about it, and they're just saying that our brains or our bodies or our spirits or our minds have not wrapped itself around or connected with the fact that it did end, and we're like in this weird space, and our bodies and minds are trying to figure out. And yeah, it's crazy. But I've been hearing that theory a lot. I'm gonna keep going down that rabbit hole too, to be honest.
This thing's pretty far away, but it keeps moving so slow. Don't mind the low quality. It just keeps moving real slow towards us. And you can't really see it, but there's like a couple of droids up there. My camera's not good quality at all. Well, you can kind of see them. They're right there and there. And there's another one flying right by it. And you go up to it. Look at that. Hello. Wonder if it's seeing me right now. That's pretty cool. Huh. Hello, Mr. Orb. Alright, buddy, I'll let you in. Hold on. It's pretty wild. This thing's pretty far away, but it keeps moving so slow.
Here's something I was thinking about. Like, that thing started feeling like hypnotized, like it was hypnotizing me, staring at it. And I wasn't even there live, just looking at it in the screen. And then I had this thought, what if that's staring at these things are like hypnotizing you? See what your brain will do to you? That's now has officially messed me up.
What do you think the ratio of what President Trump said to what will be explained away within a day or so will be on this move? America's going to have an ownership in Gaza, and the people who were there probably shouldn't be allowed back.
First of all, I think 95% of what he said, if not all 100 of it, is going to be dismissed. I can't imagine the United States of America inserting itself in the American citizens, I happen to be one of them, being okay with that. First of all, we consistently point to our armed forces and our soldiers who represent us and put their lives on the line and make sacrifices for us every single day. How comfortable are we going to be putting them in that kind of situation? I think that's a very dangerous proposition. It's not something that should be entertained. But number two, and more importantly, I think we need to understand how ridiculous the President of the United States sounded tonight. When he was explaining what he was explaining about how the U.S. will own Gaza, he sounded like a real estate agent. He was talking about, how we're gonna rebuild and, we're going to restructure and it's going to be a beautiful place. Greater minds, fresher minds than me know all too well the history of the Palestinians and Israel. We know the Israeli-Palestinian conflict spanning decades. None of us should take this lightly. We should treat it with the seriousness that it deserves. And what I will say is that we certainly shouldn't be hearing about real estate opportunities.
There is going to be a planetary type of reset by the year 2040. And that's because Pluto is transiting the sign of Capricorn, and it's the slowest moving planet. So it takes a very long time for it to transit a sign. And it's going to enter Aquarius in the year 2040. Well, Capricorn represents things like civilizations and government. So we're going to see a completely different planet by the year 2040. This is very likely what we imagine as the age of Aquarius. I see a new currency system coming in. I see a change in even how the governments work. There probably won't be the same type of governments you see now. It's going to be a complete revolution and a complete change. So you guys buckle up, because during this next 18 years, things are going to be going through a lot of growing pains as we grow towards the age of Aquarius. There is going to be...
I don't know. I don't know where he got the information from, how he tapped into that source of information. I don't know. 2040 though. Only way we can prove him right is be alive when it happens to be like, he was right or he was crazy. But I don't know.
Yeah, I'd be so glad when this whole Babylon whatever thing fall and crumble, and the whole world do a whole reset where we ain't gotta go to work no more. You don't know how happy I'm gonna be. Cause honestly, I'm just working just honestly to be there. Because what is the point of me keep putting in all this work, hustling and grinding, and the money already messed up out here. Like, we better keep doing it.
Yeah, sometimes I do feel like you just work to pay taxes. It's like you do all this work, you work so hard, as soon as you get your money in your hand, they stick their hand out and take it. And then you look back down at your hand and you're like, because what was once a good little bit of money is now reduced to nothing.